Bitcoin is getting to an incredible time. We are near all-time highs. We need to check out the charts on that and see where we could go in the near future for that one. Then also SPY, QQQ, and IWM. We'll check out each of those ETFs as they track major indices and talk about what could potentially go on from here based on the economic reports, some of the earnings we had, such as Google and AMD, and that leads us into NVIDIA and Tesla. Tesla, especially with those economic reports coming out, we'll see what exactly is going on there. So let me pop up the charts for you. We'll kick things off with Bitcoin since that's the one that I brought up first. And I want to zoom in for you right here so you can see the last time that we're at an all-time high. And depending on who you're going with to track it, you might get a slightly different number, but on here as per Bitstamp, we have that high price coming in at 73,794. Where did we peak out yesterday? When we look at this, we came up to 73.6. So we came in with $194 of an all-time high price. And you guys can see that resistance line. If you're watching my video yesterday, that was there. That's actually been there for quite a while, as a matter of fact. As we look at that, the 69,711 I said was that number to beat. We beat over it, got a big old pop off of that, and then got darn close to all-time highs. We were most likely going to reject off anything near all-time highs in the first place. If we can hold this support, this 71,853 that we came back down to, that is going to be significant for us and giving us that next push upward from there. And you can see if we can beat all-time highs, we have 76,582 to look forward to, and then 78,735. And then up above that, my friends, is $80,000 per BTC. Now, some of this could be as a result of the election and what we are hearing from Vance and Trump and pushing Bitcoin in those ways and pressing in a Trump victory. So that could be some of what we're seeing with Bitcoin. Some of that could also be explained with what we see with DJT, of course, with the ramp up that we see there. That one also softening in the pre-market hours. So let's go from there into SPY to take a look at those prices. We're currently in a bit of a limbo between the 585.76 and the 575, which with the earnings reports that we've gotten recently, so far we're in pretty good shape. GDP comes out at 830. That's going to be one of the big determinants to see which way we go with this. We also have ADP employment change numbers coming out at 8:15 just before the GDP numbers that we get. If we come in near that 3% number for GDP, I think that we're going to be in really good shape for the markets. I think we're going to hesitate, and that's why we have us in limbo here leading up to that in the pre-market hours. So if we come in soft on GDP, watch out for the prices down below. If we beat on GDP and we get even better numbers than expected, watch out above for these numbers, the 585 to be retested, and then the 589.34 up above that. We are outside of the rising wedge pattern, and so we'll see if that continues to play out and we get a further drop, or if it's one that gets kind of refuted for right now and we continue our upward march in the markets. So election time coming up on Tuesday of next week. We're now down under 1 week until that takes place. Moving over into the Qs, still within the rising wedge pattern right now on QQQ, and Google's earnings certainly popping this up. AMD pulling back a little bit, NVIDIA a little bit hesitant for what we see, and it's some of that softer than expected revenue projection or guidance coming out from AMD. However, Google really showing that AI is really something that's panning out for them, and so that is something that puts NVIDIA in a little bit of a limbo and why we see only a little bit of price softness this morning for NVIDIA. We'll get to those in just a second. We have a lot of big tech earnings coming up, and as long as Apple, Microsoft, Meta, as long as they come out strong as well as they come out swinging, we can release that pop-up, that push to 505, which, by the way, the all-time high is 503. Let me get the exact change for you. 503.52 during regular trading hours. We are so darn close to new all-time highs. If we get up there and you're a day trader, you might want to be watching out for a rejection off that all-time high price. If we see it sometime in the near future here, which it's likely that we get there, possibly even today, we're going to have to watch out for it. And I can't imagine that we get anything short of a rejection, at least initially off that price before pushing on to higher prices. If we're going to take on higher prices, you guys can see the prices down below. If we get price weakness instead, now mind you, if we get a full candle close above this resistance area today, we're going to call it support instead. So hopefully we get to see that. We get to continue this climb to the upside. And then IWM, we're still in the rising wedge pattern here, and GDP is going to play a big part in that, and especially the numbers that we see coming out for jobs on Friday with non-farm payrolls and unemployment rate is going to be highly impactful to the Russell 2000 stocks. NVIDIA, not showing a lot of price softness from the coming off the all-time highs and off of yesterday's close in light of AMD's earnings, we do want to watch that we start to dip down below the 5 and 13 period exponential moving averages. If we start to dangle off of those, that could be a near-term bearish thing. The big tech yet to report is going to be the influential parts that we see with NVIDIA to see if we continue rounding this off and soften a little bit leading up to NVIDIA's earnings later in November, coming up in about 3 weeks or so from today. And so we want to be watchful for that. As a matter of fact, there you go. It's the 20th of November. So it is 3 weeks from today in the after hours that we get to hear from that. I can't imagine there wouldn't be any nervousness coming into this stock. Like I said, big tech can push it up, especially if it shows ongoing strong demand and growing demand for AI as an indicator leading up to those earnings. That could push us up higher on this one. If there's anything from the earnings calls that makes us nervous about the infrastructure side for AI and any sort of softening demand, that's going to be downward pressure on NVIDIA stock. So be aware of those and watch out for what could potentially happen, especially with these near-term moving averages. For Tesla right now, let me move back over here and we'll stretch this graph out for you. You can see that we came down to this support. As a matter of fact, we were able to close sitting on it at 259.22, and that's a critical support for us, that 382 that you see on here. What we're looking for Tesla is that next push that takes us up to 307, which is all the way up here. We got to get through this resistance first. GDP is going to be something very helpful to us. If GDP numbers come out strong, comes out weak, that's probably going to be downward pressure on Tesla stock. Non-farm payrolls and unemployment are also going to be important to watch. What we're looking for there is any sign of recessionary pressures that we might happen to have. If we get numbers that refute the recessionary case, that's going to be a very good thing for Tesla. The next big catalyst from that would be what we hear from the Fed meeting for what exactly they're going to do with rate cuts coming up. Are we going to see a softer than expected trajectory for those rates, meaning that there's going to be more cuts coming our way, or not? Because cutting those rates in the interest rate sensitive environment of Tesla is something we absolutely want to watch out for. If we can't make it back up above that resistance, we have 247 to look forward to. If we do make it up to that 271 and break it, there's 279, 286 up above. I want to see that push up to 300, and we need some things to fall in our favor in order to make that happen. So less signals of recession, good economic reports coming out for us, possibly because of Elon supporting Trump. If Trump wins, maybe that's another boon to Tesla stock. We're going to have to see how exactly that pans out. It's kind of a mixed bag, if you will. So we're going to have to watch for that for Tesla, for continued upward pressures for their stock price. There's the prices to the upside and to the downside. If we do happen to take a tumble, which we're going to have to watch to see what happens with these supports to see if that would take place, there's some prices down below. And, well, we talked about Bitcoin. Really want to see that continued strength then. Remember that Bitcoin does trade throughout the weekend. That's also highly important to pay attention to that. So, guys, I'm going to wrap things up here. If you want to see my buys and sells, if you want to see my technicals before they hit YouTube, if you want to talk to me and my community members, there is a link down in the description for the Patreon. Go ahead and click that, sign up, and head on over to Discord inside that Patreon, and that's going to give you access to all that content. And if you guys want to learn to do this technical analysis yourself and get access to the bread recipe trading strategy available through Stockmo Academy, there's a link for that down in the description as well. Stockmo, Mrs. Mo, lifetime educators. I'm also a lifetime educator, and I, with a doctorate in education, I've vetted this course myself, and I can tell you Stockmo Academy is tight. It's top notch. It is super helpful, small, easy to digest pieces with a top-of-the-line trading strategy that's easy to set up. It walks you right through it and comes with a learning community, and you guys can get it all for even less money than it does cost by using the code word DOCTOR, DOCTOR, when you sign up. It's going to give you a massive discount, huge savings on that one. And with that bread recipe trading strategy at your back, oftentimes people are paying for that course in as little as one trade by successfully executing the bread recipe trading strategy. Thank you very much for watching. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning. We'll see you next video.